I thought it'd be a good time to just look at tomatoes, just the ones that have set on so far. This is the Cherokee Purple. It's got a good bunch down to the bottom and then a few up in the next set of blooms and then a few more in the third set of blooms. The 1884 Old Timing, it's got some real nice tomatoes down at the bottom and a few more in the next set of blooms. Then a couple of nice ones in the third set, and the fourth set has a few, but like the rest of my plants right now, they're not sitting on too good at the top. This is supposed to be a big Zac. I was planning on letting one tomato grow, but it doesn't look like anything that would be a large tomato to me. The blooms just don't look like, you know, they should. But it's got a couple of tomatoes on. We'll see what happens. This is the red Ponte Rosa. It's so bushy it's kind of hard to see the tomatoes on it, but it does have quite a few tomatoes. This is the one that was supposed to be the black creme. I don't think it is a black creme. It may be a cross with a black creme with something else, but they're more like patio tomatoes. They're not getting very big. They're setting on really well. It'd be okay with me if they taste like a black creme, but I guess that remains to be seen. But they're setting on way up the top. And the black cherry, it's got tomatoes setting on all the way up to the top. It's kind of hard to see. It's got quite a bit of foliage. But here's way up the top of the cage, and they're still setting on. And it's coming out of the top of the cage, got plenty of blooms still. This is the Ponte Rosa. It's got quite a few tomatoes on it. Not a huge number, but enough to give us an idea what it's going to be like, I think. And like the others, it's not setting on well at the top. The Omar's Lebanese, it's got quite a few tomatoes that have already set on. It's got some really big bloom clusters, but so far it's, you know, out of maybe 30 blooms on a cluster or so, it might set on 5 or 6. And it's got one pretty high on the cage, but not a whole bunch. This is the Hillbilly. It's got one there. It might be hail damage. I'm not sure. Either hail damage or insect damage, but it's got some about midway up the cage. And it's got pretty good blooms up the top. Hopefully it'll have. And here's the pink ox heart. It's really setting on well, and it looks like it's going to have some really nice tomatoes on it. And they've set on about midway up the cage, and not so much in the higher part. Looks like I've got one way up here. But our weather's going to be cooling down soon, so hopefully that'll help. Here's the garden peach. It's about halfway up the cage, and it seems to be setting on well. That far anyway. Here's the boxcar willy. It's only got about 3 tomatoes as far as I can tell, and doesn't have a whole lot of blooms on it up the top that have opened. I keep hoping it'll do what it did last year, but not so. Here's the Indigo Rose. Some of those are starting to get the purple shoulders already, and it's setting on pretty good. It set on well last year, and I think it's going to have another good year. It seems to be a good all-around little tomato. And here's our 4th of July. It's got one that's just about ready to pick down the bottom. And it's nothing to brag about, but it will have a few tomatoes. Here's what the sweet seedless looks like. Tomatoes are kind of really light, almost white. It's going to be interesting to see if this really is seedless.